Email preferences in ACT are of course only active if you're using ACT with email. In other words, if you're using your email ACT as your email. If you're still using Outlook or Outlook Express, then you would set these types of things on your own software. But the first thing that you choose is, do you want to send email to contacts using whatever service it is that you're using? In other words, you can use ACT's email, as we've spoken about before, to integrate with Microsoft Outlook or Outlook Express so that you're actually sending email through ACT and therefore keeping a history, but you're actually using your email service to do it. So if you do that, then these settings apply. If not, then the settings on your email system apply. So you get the email system setting and email system setup, however you need to set that up. Composing options, like for example, are you going to send it in HTML? Are you going to send it in plain text? And are you going to keep history? You're going to keep history on subject only? You're going to keep history on subject plus message? Or are you even going to keep attachments in history? So a lot of different things that we can do in regards to email settings. Are you going to request a return receipt? That means that the person, as soon as they open the email, they are requested to give you a return. They can just click and it'll give you a return. What about reply and forward settings? Are you going to close the original email, reply or forward, include the email body, or when you reply? In other words, when you reply, it'll be down at the bottom of it. Those are by default. If you decide you don't want to do that, you can uncheck those. Include attachments on the reply. Typically, that's not done. Include attachments on forward. Typically, that is done. So these things are set for the defaults of what they usually are. Signatures, you can put in signatures just like you would with any other email system by adding in your signature. So you've got the capability to create these email settings just like you would with your main email software such as Microsoft Outlook or Outlook Express. Then what about folder settings? Do you empty the deleted folders on exit? Some people don't. Or deleted items folder on exit. Do you notify of new email and how often? If you're connected right now, it says notify me of new email every 1 minute. Mark the email as read in the preview pane after 2 seconds is what it's set to right now. If we click on the communication tab, then the first thing is, what about the default application? What are we using for a word processor? And right now we're using Microsoft Word 2003, so that's what we have selected. If we were going to use the ACT word processor, we could click on the drop down and simply select the ACT word processor, and we'd use the ACT word processor instead. I choose to use Word 2003 because I understand Word 2003 and it has more tools in there for me. But it's all up to you. If you're using fax software, you could choose the fax software that you want to use and then choose your fax options. Customize spelling, spelling preferences. Do you want to always suggest a replacement for misspelled words? Do you want to ignore uppercase words? For example, they could be acronyms, so we want to ignore those in regards to spelling. Ignore words with numbers. These are all settings that are commonly available on word processing software such as Word, but they're also built into the ACT software. You can set up the dialer. When you set up the dialer, you set up dialer preferences, like for example, what communication system that you're connected to do you want the system to use? Do you want it to use a modem? Do you want it to use the landline, maybe using DSL? And once you set up the dialer, you can actually dial through ACT. You can have ACT dial the phone for you. We'll take a look at that a little bit later on when we talk about the timer and how we can automatically have the timer kick in when we use ACT to dial calls. I'm going to click on cancel there. And the last thing is quick preferences for printing. In other words, when you click on that little printer icon, what do you expect to happen? And what do you expect to happen based on where you are? For example, if you're printing this, if you're printing something about the company, do you want the page number? Do you want to print the date? Do you want to print the time? What about if it's an opportunity? What do you want it to print there? If it's a contact record, what do you want it to print there? So you've got a tremendous number of options that are available in regards to what you want to see when you click on print, and therefore you don't have to choose all of these when you actually click on print if you have these defaults set. So this is a nice tool, and again something that's built in to the software so that you don't have to worry about doing that with some other third-party software. So all of these are preferences that can be set. And preferences, if you can tweak something and make it more like what you want, then you can certainly increase your productivity. So that's the whole idea of being able to set these preferences, is to be able to increase your own productivity. One way to increase your productivity is to keep an eye on the time, because you don't get that time back, right? Time is money. And ACT has a built-in timer that you can use creatively to keep an eye on your own time. And we'll talk about the timer next.